a big black gun.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the BeerDad and Brewed Podcast. As always, I am your hostess with the mostest, the BeerDad himself, Justin Allen, and I am joined by my co-host, my partner, my good buddy, Mr. Brandon. What's up, buddy?
Hey, what's up, dude? How's it going?
Good, man. It's good to be back in the saddle. I know we took a little bit of a break here and wanted to get some content recorded, and here we are.
Here we are. Before we get into it, though, before you ask me the usual, where are we? I just want to take a quick moment. I know I'm a month late, but I want to say happy 4-year anniversary to the podcast and to you. And to just shout out to everybody that has been listening, whether this is the first episode you're hearing or you've been, with BeerDad and all the other knuckleheads along the way.
There are some knuckleheads.
Yeah, just thank you to everybody for listening. And thank you, BeerDad. It's been awesome being a part of the ride, and here's to 4 more, hopefully more than 4, but
4 more. Yeah. I hope so. I even though I'm doing what I'm doing right now, and it takes a lot of my time and consumes everything I do, I still want to make the podcast a part of even my brewery. So, and we are at a brewery, but where are we?
We are in San Marcos, California, at a really cool spot. Place
Awesome.
I've never been to before, but you've spoken very highly of the beer that you've partaken in so far.
There are times in your life where you run across a beer that you try and you're just like, wow, that was good. And then just by hook or crook, you're like, I need to make something happen. So long story short, shout out to our good friends at Quail in Temecula, California. Garth and Travis, congratulations on your grand opening, and thank you for being a part of the BeerDad and Brewed family and carrying BeerDad's Brewworks Dad Bod Blonde Ale available at Quail currently. But while I was there, I try not to get high on my own supply, and I'm just one of those types of people that I love all types of beers, and so I wanted to try a little bit of everything, and in particular I tried a Mexican lager by Dos Desperados in San Marcos, California, which is where we're at.
I feel like there needs to be like a pistol that should after you say the name.
Well, it's funny. Our theme music actually fits really well here.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, I didn't even think about it. And they're actually, Johnny Deadly Trio. They're a local band here in North County, San Diego, and I think that's kind of cool that we're here in North County, San Diego, and the song fits the brewery. But yes, we are at Dos Desperados Brewery, and we're joined by Hayden, the head brewer. What's up, Hayden?
How's it going, guys? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you for having us. And delicious beer that I had at Quail, Mexican lager, was absolutely amazing. It was, for me, when I see Mexican lager, it's exactly what I wanted. And it was a higher quality Mexican lager than, your standard fare that you can pick up at the grocery store. Obviously, there's a lot more love and passion that you can taste behind that beer. And I crushed it. I was like, this is so good. Like, I had that hint of corn in there and just had that flavor. Like, I loved it. It was a good beer. And so I was like, man, I got to come down here and work a little bit on my brewery. And I'm going to be in the area. And I was like, we haven't recorded a podcast in a few weeks. I'm like, we need to get one out. And so I looked in the area. I'm like, Dos Desperados is right there. I'm like, I just had that beer and it was so good. So I reached out, and here we are. And here's Hayden.
Awesome. Love it. Thanks for the kind words. That's what it's all about. I love hearing someone who really cares about beer enjoy a beer of mine.
Yeah,
that's great.
And I'm over the years, my palate has definitely changed when it comes to beer. When I first got into craft beer, which was a long time ago because I'm old, I was, the really crazy adjuncted beers is what gets you hooked in, I think. And of course, we always talk about on the show, my first real dive into holy crap, this is craft beer, was the peanut butter stout from Belching Beaver, which a lot of people, that kind of gets them hooked. And for the longest time, all I drank was stouts because I was like, well, this is good. So I just went into a stout thing. And then as I got older, I can't drink them damn things anymore. I can sip on them and enjoy them and share them. But I used to be able to drink big old wells from Bottle Logic all to myself and be fine. And now I just, old man syndrome kicks in. You can't do that stuff no more. And then through brewing, you appreciate certain styles that a lot of people don't realize. You have to be good at your craft to make a certain style of beer, and Mexican lager being one of them. Lagers, pilsners, anything like that is something that you see in a grocery store and you think, oh, that's the cheap beer, right? But then if someone that has a brewing background knows, it's not easy to do. Like, and if you don't have a $50 million budget to make mass-produced Pilsners like, Anheuser-Busch or somebody, like, there's a craft behind it. So to get the beer that you came out with, working on your system here, it definitely shows that you put in a lot of work to make good beer. So thank you. That was awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, that's definitely a big misconception in beer. A lot of, your regular layman beer drinkers think the fizzy yellow beer, that's the easy one. That's this, I'm going to try home brewing, I'm going to make a lager first. And you go, whoa, actually, no. Not a lot to hide behind in a lager like that. It takes a lot longer to make, a lot less malt, a lot less hops. It's got to be crisp, clean, and delicious, and you have to do it right every single time. That's why brewers love it.
Yeah,
it's hard.
The shift beers, right? We love them, and that's kind of where I went with my dad bod beers. I wanted something easy drinking and a blonde, and I used to crush 805s all the time, so that was my thought: make my version of an 805 and call it a day. And so I love these styles of beer, and that Mexican lager, I think, is it one of your better sellers?
It's our top seller. Yeah.
I mean, with the name and the theming of the brewery and everything, I can totally see it.
Yeah, that beer's our Lager Magnifico. That's our best seller. And then our Hazy Daisy IPA is right behind it.
Okay. Yeah, all the haze fans out there. Got to have a hazy. I remember when there was a time I didn't like hazies, and now for some reason I like them more than West Coast, and it used to be the other way around for me, and I don't know why. I know, spoiled. Up in like the Murrieta area, there's some really good breweries that make some hazies up there, and they get you. They get you hooked in.
Yeah,
so.
I didn't love hazies when they were first a thing. They were all juice bombs, orange juice. Everyone was trying to make it look like a glass of orange juice, and that's just weird to me if we're trying to drink an IPA.
It's funny you say that. I remember one of the first hazies I had from out here, because the first hazy I had technically was from Treehouse, but the first one I had out here was, I believe it was Mason Ale Works, and it was Pulpacana. Do you remember that? And
I do.
Orange juice. That's why you said it jumped in my head, and I'm like, I remember that can. Yeah.
Which I understand. I get it. There's room for that, but I didn't like that. And as a brewer, I wasn't going to make one of those. And so I put off making a hazy until I realized, wait a minute, I can do whatever I want.
Yeah.
I want to make a more bitter, a little bit more dry hazy. It's still hazy. It's still fruity, hoppy, delicious.
Absolutely.
But it's got a little bit of a bite to it, and it makes everybody, that West Coast drinker, a little more happy to drink a hazy.
Right. So talking about yourself and brewing, you have a pretty cool history. You want to tell us a little bit about yourself and what got you into brewing and your history here at Dos Desperados?
So we're coming up on 10 years as a brewery at Dos Desperados. I came on just after the first anniversary, about a month after I turned 21. I moved down to San Diego from LA to play baseball at Cal State San Marcos. And I had homebrewed once or twice in high school with a buddy. I don't think I ever even drank the finished product. It wasn't even about that. It was like he got the Mr. Beer kit from his uncle and like, let's try this out. And so I thought that was kind of neat. I didn't know how beer was made, of course, at 17 or whatever. So once I moved down to San Diego, started slowly drinking some IPAs and went, oh, okay, like this is pretty good. I think I can drink this. Then I was working at Five Guys Burgers and Fries right across the street from here, and was telling a manager that when I turn 21, I'm just going to go around, work for free if I have to. I want to see if I like brewing. I know there's a lot of breweries around here. But I'd never heard of Dos Desperados, but he was a regular here. So he came over to Dos and talked to the owner, Steve, talked me up because I was a good worker at Five Guys.
Nice.
And Steve was crazy enough to hire me at 21, no experience, but he was a baseball guy. His son played baseball. His nephew did.
Yeah.
I did too. So we immediately connected, and I took over as head brewer at 23 years old here.
That's awesome. And that was quite an accomplishment. If I'm not mistaken, you were probably the youngest head brewer in San Diego County.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
That's
really
what
cool.
I like to say.
That's so cool.
That's really cool, right? You wish you were 23 again, though, I'm sure, right?
No, I'm good.
Good.
I mean, I'm only 29, so I'm feeling all right still.
All right. Well, when you get up to my age, which I guess I can tell people I'm 40, but that's really old. You'll start feeling all the joints and bones and all that.
Oh, I already
stuff.
do. I definitely feel that. I've had a bad back since 16, but I'm just.
Something happens
when you
turn 30, and you're right on the cusp of it.
Yeah.
I'm 32, and
starting to fall apart, huh?
Yeah, man. There's just like pain that wasn't there before, and I don't know. I'm an active guy, and I stretch, but yeah, there's and like recovery time is just weird, man. Like I don't know.
I'll tell you what. I'm
Things start going
definitely looking forward to hiring some help soon. So move some kegs for me,
Oh,
because
I
right
bet.
now I'm doing it all on my own production wise. So
Yeah.
it'll be nice to have someone to help save my back.
Get you
couple
a
days a week.
cellarman in here, and
Yeah, I've had one on and off, but they always go off and do bigger, better things,
Yeah.
which is great. But
it's hard. It's definitely hard to keep one for sure, because they learn, right? You teach them everything, and then it's like, okay, now just like yourself, get that opportunity somewhere else. So
Yeah,
it is
yeah.
an entry level position, but
of course.
But yeah, for sure. And so you have a background in baseball, you said. So you went to Cal State San Marcos, right around the corner.
Yep.
And what position did you play?
I was a pitcher.
Okay, I was going to ask pitcher or catcher when you told me you had a bad back, because I know all about that. I played baseball myself. I pitched and played first base.
Nice.
But I can totally see that. And then my brother-in-law, he went to UCLA, and he was a baseball player. Bad back, he was a catcher. And I'm just like all the rigorous like travel ball, playing like double headers. Like I remember watching him play travel ball in the JOs out in Phoenix, and he did a double header in 122 degree heat with full catcher gear. I'm like, this dude's nuts. So definitely appreciate all the baseball players out there. And of course I love baseball. We were talking about it earlier. We got rival teams going here.
Yeah, go Dodgers.
Go Padres. But that's okay. We love baseball, so
Absolutely.
I don't care who your team
Go
is.
baseball.
But preferably the Padres. So that's really cool. So now that you're in the brewing, do you still have time to play ball at all? Do you do any like softball or anything like that?
No, I get asked every other week at least by a guy like, hey, man, I got a men's league in San Diego. We need another arm. No, I'm good. I played for 20 years. I loved every minute of it, and I'm happily retired from baseball.
Nice.
I am getting back into golf, of course, because that's what retired baseball players do. So I've been enjoying doing that when I get the time. I've had a lot of friends who play softball, which sounds fun, just drinking and playing
beer league.
softball, but it takes away my favorite part of the game, pitching.
Yeah.
So I also don't want to commit to an 8:30 p.m. on a Wednesday night kind of game.
So as a pitcher, how hard were you throwing in your peak?
Really slow. I was probably like 86-ish. It was actually really fun. Like I'm tall. I'm 6'4", so you'd think I'd throw pretty hard.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, my lats said no and would nod up on me. So you could only throw as hard as you could slow down, and that's your lats in the back of your shoulder. So I threw about 86, but I ended up being a sidearm pitcher and had a lot of movement.
Got that jump ball going.
So in college, best year I ever played in my life, I was the slowest velo on the team, but the best pitcher on the team. And so that was pretty fun for me.
There's plenty of successful pitchers in the major leagues that their whole career is nothing but junk balls. And
I
takes a
relate
lot
to
of
Kyle
skill.
Hendricks right
Okay.
now. We threw a
Good
very
pitcher.
similar.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's really cool to hear these stories from brewers about their other life and what before or even during. But I think that's a really cool story. I mean, not a lot of people, and I tell youngsters all the time. Like right now, my daughter's in volleyball at high school level, and it's like I tell them to make where you got, that's not easy. You could be king of the turf at your high school, but when you get to college, you could be way down on the pecking order because there's people that are just that much better than you. And but to make a university and make a college team, that's obviously we're a great ball player, so that's a really cool story to have that you're a head brewer here. But hey, guess what? I played ball. I played at UC San Marcos.
I was doing it's Cal State San Marcos.
Cal State. There you go.
And I was doing both at the same time. So I ended up playing baseball there 5 years. I was a redshirt my first year there, and so I would wake up 4:30 a.m., go to morning weights at school. Come to the brewery, start a brew with our brewer at the time. Then I would leave, go back, go to class, go to practice, go to class, then come and close the bar at the brewery. So that was like my Tuesday. It was like 4:30 a.m. to 10 p.m. And it was just really a blast. Cool. So it was really fun to be able to be a brewer and playing baseball at the same time.
That's really awesome. Such a cool story.
It's like a movie right there.
Yeah.
That's
we're going to write it, right? We're going to produce this movie.
Yeah. Wow.
Who do you want to play yourself in the story of you?
Oh, man. I've never had that question asked. I don't know. Matthew McConaughey's a little short to play me, I think, but I do like him. He's a little old now, too, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, with all the aging they have going on.
Right.
And all
They could pull that off, man.
Yeah.
I was watching one of the Star Wars shows, and they had Luke Skywalker on there, and he looked like he was 20 again.
Yeah, if Mark Hamill can do it,
Yeah.
Matthew McConaughey can play you.
There you go.
Hell, why not?
Yeah.
Someone who could play baseball, at least.
That's right.
They
That's
got to
right.
be legit.
Hey, I think he might actually. When I saw him, was it Eastbound and Down? He was a coach though. And did you guys ever watch Eastbound and Down?
A little bit.
Okay,
Is that the one with the guy
Danny
from
McBride.
Yeah.
Kenny Powers.
Yes.
Yeah, McConaughey was in that, but I think he might have been a coach.
Yeah.
I'm sure
somebody
he played
on
some baseball
the
back in the day.
business
We
side.
can
Texas
digitize
boy.
them. That's awesome. Yeah, what a cool story. You don't hear that very often. Like, I mean, what he just said, like, go to school, go to practice, come to the brewery, back and forth, learning your craft while you were still getting your education and playing ball. A lot of people don't understand what it's like to be a student athlete. It's a lot. Like right now, I'm trying to talk to my daughter and get her through this because it's hard. Playing volleyball. She does travel volleyball. She does high school volleyball and high school, and she's an ASB and all this stuff. And it's like she's getting pulled in all kinds of directions. And her first year doing it, it was a struggle academically because it was hard for her to keep up because like in high school you miss your last 2-3 periods when you got to go to an away game and stuff like that and got to make up tests and all that. So it is not easy for the listeners that never experienced being a student athlete. So for you to accomplish what you did while learning and playing and learning this craft, which brewing's not an easy thing to learn unless you're passionate about it. Sometimes it comes easy, but that's a really cool story. So kudos to you and congratulations on your accomplishments. Absolutely.
Yeah, man.
So,
it takes discipline too, like being young and just probably wanting to be out with your friends and like, just having the discipline to like, okay, no, I'm going to baseball and beer. That's my.
Yeah, I mean, I fell in love with it immediately. I tried it out here. I didn't know if I was going to love it or not, but I'm grateful I did. I really love it. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That was kind of the same for me. So, most people that listen to the show know that, I've been first responder for 16 years now, 17 years now. And, we see, hear, and do things that aren't very easy to swallow, right? And so one of my best advice that I tell, and because I teach now, I tell the youth of coming into the profession, you have to have an outlet and you have to have something that is a positive thing in your life that you can go and put your hands on and do to totally like not think about work and not think about all the crazy, right? And so when I learned how to brew with Josh and started this podcast, that was my outlet. And it was like, man, I went from quality of life of like, I loved being with my family and stuff like that, but there were times where I was just like, my job sucks. I'm so unhappy. And it didn't used to be that way like the first few years of the career, but like now it's like when you have this outlet, right, brewing beer, you depending on what you're doing, like on my home brew equipment, it's you're making 5-gallon batches at a time, but you can do a lot more fun stuff on a 5-gallon batch than you can on commercial equipment. But it's just you take those 4 or 5 hours, 3 hours depending on what kind of beer you're making, and have a beer while you're boiling, do throughout the whole process and just relax and take your time and get your hands on it. And it's an amazing outlet, and it's obviously something I'm passionate about, obviously, since I'm opening a brewery, but it's a really cool hobby, and we definitely encourage home brewing and for people to get into it, like yourself. You go at your age to be like, let me see if I like it, and you immediately fell in love with it. And it's a great hobby, and we definitely encourage all our listeners that are thinking about getting into brewing. You love beer. Not only are you going to save some money, we still want you to come support our breweries, but you'll save some money in the long run, and then you're going to love the craft. I really think it's an amazing experience.
Yeah, I had never had a creative outlet growing up. I wasn't really good at art or drawing or music. I tried that. That didn't work. So I was always more hands-on, building, playing sports.
Yeah.
So brewing was the perfect combination of that. It's so hands-on and physical, but creating these recipes, and there's just so many little steps through the process to adjust to make a beer different.
Yeah.
And then, of course, enjoying the finished product and seeing how it all came together just made so much sense in my mind and the creative side of my brain that I don't think I'll ever stop doing it.
Yeah. That's awesome. So, as a brewer, you've been obviously you're been in this business for a while, and I'm sure it's changed over the years. But currently, what is your favorite style of beer to brew?
Oh, looks like Florida State scoring.
Oh, all the way to the house,
There
FSU.
Oh.
There you go.
We are the official North County San Diego watch bar for Florida State football. For any alumni out there,
I like that.
There we go.
we got every game. I love it.
There you go. Woo! I love it.
What was the question?
Your favorite style of beer to brew? We got
All right.
distracted by FSU.
So, the question I get asked all the time, and I feel like I have a fun answer for it, is the new one. My favorite style is the new one.
Something challenging you've never done before.
Because I brew Hazy Daisy and our Lager Magnifico constantly. I brew Hazy Daisy every week.
Yeah.
I love that beer. It's our best seller. I love brewing that, even though it's the same thing every week. But getting a new style, or just a new version of a style I make, like a new IPA, a new lager, something like that, really gets the wheels turning in my mind. What do I, like for weeks beforehand when I'm brainstorming it, I'm drinking beers around town, seeing what's on the menu, maybe combining two different styles, what new hops are out there, and I kind of plan it in my head.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the brew day, it's like I'll make an adjustment minutes before I'm adding hops.
Right.
And it just makes it so fun and like exciting. Like I think it's our cold IPA we have on tap right now. The day I brewed that, I still didn't decide how bitter I wanted it to be because I'm using a lager yeast and an IPA. How dry will that get and balance the bitterness out? And I just made like a 1 minute decision right before I'm dumping these hops in. Yeah. And that's what excites me. That's super fun.
I love that, yeah. And that's like, you found like your kind of like creative path, like just, adding all those little creative elements and last minute decisions like that.
And then you got to sit around for 2, 3, 6 weeks, depending on the beer, and just like, what is it going to be like?
Is it like
you have this idea in your head the whole time, and this expectation. Yeah. And boy, once you taste it off the bright tank or keg it and put it on tap, and it's exactly what you thought. Yeah, that is satisfying.
That's really cool.
Really satisfying.
That's really cool.
What about this Pilsner that we're sipping on?
Yeah,
it's
so
delicious.
We're drinking our Palomino Pilsner, and this is one of those beers I'm talking about. It's only been on tap a couple weeks. I've done different versions of it.
Yeah.
I love putting New Zealand hops, very citrus forward, a little bit floral. Maybe I'll add a little Zamba, something a little fruitier to balance that out. Yeah. And it's just got a good bite to it. It's not too bitter, but it's nice and dry, so it can seem a little bitter. And
some drinkers like that.
Yeah, for sure. It's a beer I want to drink. I can't always make a beer that like is for me, but this one totally is. And
you got to have a little something for everybody, for sure, as a brewery, and that's kind of where I go with opening my brewery. Like how many different styles of beer we're going to have, and there's going to be beers that I just don't care for. But somebody does.
You're not making beer for you anymore. Right? You got to sell it now.
Like we always joke about seltzers. Like everyone's starting to do that, and it's like, man, I hate seltzers. Like I absolutely
have a
hate them.
root beer seltzer on right now. That's where we're at right now.
There you go.
Root beer seltzer, and it's our best selling seltzer.
I'd try it.
It's pretty good. If you like root beer, you're gonna like it. But I never would have thought that would be it's top 4 or top 5 selling right now.
It's seltzers are in, and people are saying like I joke like with Jeremiah, like at one point he owns King's Brewing. I'll never brew a seltzer ever. Next thing you know, he comes out with a second line called Seltzy, and he's making seltzers.
That's how it happens.
You gotta as you have to adapt and overcome and be be able to be willing to meet the demand of whatever the customers are wanting to buy. Otherwise, you're missing out on that part of the business. So
yeah, of course. I mean, you want to be traditional. That's why you get into home brewing. You want to make these beers that either are too expensive to buy or you can't find them. So once you open a brewery, you want to stay on that path. But then you realize it's not just you and your buddies drinking this beer anymore. You got to sell it. And if this trend of hard seltzer comes out, like I was against it too. But my wife is like, I want to drink a seltzer here. You gonna make one? I'm like, well, all right, well, yeah, let's make a seltzer. And immediately it was a hit. And and then that still became an art. As easy it is to make, there's little tweaks in fermentation and yeast nutrients and clarifying and all that. And I learned to love it like I do making beer.
Right.
I still laugh every time I'm just dumping bags of sugar into the boil kettle, though. Every time, it's so silly.
You just look in and you're like,
how did we get here? But I mean, I drink seltzers all the time. They're good.
Yeah. See, I'm just not. So my problem with seltzers, and we talked about it on the show before, is like majority of them. Well, I'd say the mass-produced ones. We've run into some pretty good ones at some of the brewers we visited. But like those mass-produced ones, I don't know why, and it could just be my palate, but they always taste like hand sanitizer. Not to say that I drink hand sanitizer on a regular basis,
okay,
but
I don't know, man.
You know, I know that was popular for the high school kids for a while before Tide Pods got popular. But yeah, I didn't like that aftertaste that it brought across. But there's been some, like Jeremiah with the Seltzy line, he throws a lot of like the heavy fruits in there and different things like that. And then where was the
Harlan Brewing?
Harlan had a
we
seltzer.
had some great ones out there. Yeah. I had a really great one. It was a collab between Highland Park Brewing out in Los Angeles and Tripping Animals from Miami. Yeah. Killer.
They can, and we'll try your seltzer. I'll let you know what I think. I'll be honest.
It comes down to a clean fermentation and then what you're flavoring it with. Like those mass-produced seltzers, they're probably using extracts that are having a tinge of that alcohol flavor to it because they're alcohol-based extracts. Here I use purees and concentrates and things like that, and it's nice. It's not too much and it's not too subtle, but you can't make everyone happy, so you just got to go for it.
That's right. So back to this Pilsner, I just want to say, fine job on this. It's really good, very crushable, and I'm looking over here at the bar. It looks like you have a pretty solid mug club. I can't even talk. Mug club.
Yes,
right?
we do.
And I'm thinking this is like, if I'm a regular here, I would sit here and crush probably 4 or 5 of these in one of these beautiful mugs.
Hey, Dan, our bartender, can you get us 3 half pints of our most wanted Citra IPA, please?
So, but yeah, this is really good. When I drink a Pilsner, like you mentioned before, I like that dry finish, and I like what you did with the hops. It's not just a regular Pilsner. Like you as a brewer or somebody that has, people sometimes call me a beer snob, and I'm sure you've heard that before from.
No, I never heard that. That's a new term.
But you have your just standard Pilsners out there, and then you have when you come across something like this, and there's a lot going on here, and you can appreciate it, but then at the end of the day, you can crush it and not feel guilty about drinking 4 or 5 of them. So,
nobody here feels guilty about drinking 5 or 6.
5 or 6, right? Yeah, this is awesome. Good job on the Pilsner.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Anything else for you?
No, I think we're good for now. Thank you.
I'll be nosing around if you need anything else.
That's awesome. So, yeah, damn fine job. So, here we go. So,
Got a
you
good
are
smell
now,
to it.
we're talking baseball, back to sports. Right now, you are 2 for 2 for me on beers I've had recently from Dos Desperados. So, you got the Mexican lager was delicious.
Well, we have 15 on tap. So.
Oh, man, that sounds like a rough day right there.
Well, that
we can do
so
it.
that Palomino Pilsner we just had is probably my favorite right at the moment.
Okay.
And this is a very close second that we have in front of us now. This is our most wanted Citra IPA.
I like that.
So this is one of the IPAs that the brewer before me taught me to make, and it was one of his babies. Of course, I've made tweaks over the years, and I just love this beer so much. If I have this beer before I leave the brewery at the end of the workday, I probably can't drink an IPA anywhere else. If I do go somewhere, I'll have to drink something light or something dark because this just kind of ruins it.
What did you say ABV on this?
This is 6.8%.
Okay, so we're right there. At
So right in the middle of the line.
Love that scent.
And then
It's good.
it's would you say Citra most wanted?
Yeah, Citra. So
So just Citra hops? Is that all that's in here? Or
no, so the Palomino Pilsner, that was all Motueka. So New Zealand hop. I've
hop.
added some other hops with it in previous batches, but I think I just like Motueka the best with it.
I wouldn't
just
change
love
a thing
hop.
to that beer. I
just love it.
honestly wouldn't.
It was good.
Yeah.
I just quick thing. Like I love hearing all the different pronunciations of what I've heard, like Matoinka. How would you say it?
Motueka.
Yeah, I understand it as Motueka. I think the Kiwis do say it a little differently with that accent, but I'm not trying to sound like a Kiwi, so I'm not going to say it that way. But I think Motueka is a fun way to say it.
It's actually
There's no right or wrong way.
a dream of mine, and I think I'm on the right direction. And I think we talked about this with Cece at Hopnonymous, but going to New Zealand and geeking out with the hops and the beers, and then of course I'm a weirdo and I want to jump in the water with some great white sharks while I'm there because New
Why
Zealand's
not?
a spot.
I mean, you're there.
I'm just a shark freak, but
Oh, that's awesome.
But it's like I can do 2 birds with 1 stone. I can beer geek and I can shark geek all in the same island there and have a good time. But New Zealand hops are freaking amazing. They're pricey, but man, dude, the quality of beers that are coming out are just amazing. And that beer right there, like I said, I wouldn't change a damn thing to it. It's so good.
Yeah.
Is this one of your ones that you entered in GABF?
No, we were actually just talking about that today. We were watching the awards ceremony this morning for GABF. We did not win any of our 4 samples we sent. But I do love that Pilsner, and I've thought about entering it, but I don't think it's perfectly to style. So that's part of the game of competitions, is it's got to be, they're judging to style, not how good is this beer. So I don't know
where would you enter it in?
I would have to do more research and read this. You have to go over the style guidelines and read it word for word. I don't know if this would be considered a good Czech Pilsner. I think there's no hoppy lager.
I don't think there's a hoppy lager.
There's no experimental lager. I don't know where I would go with it. I think I would I was thinking about it today. Maybe pale ale, international pale ale or something. Yeah. I don't know.
It's a tough call with GABF. We had this conversation with Ryan about GABF. I don't think we did it on the show. It was like kind of sidebar, but why Harland? Well, he's no longer with Harland anymore, but why they don't really send anything to GABF is because if you know Harlan, everything they do is not traditional. Yeah,
so we do like doing beers to style here. Not all of them, of course. The one GABF medal I do have is a bronze 2020 for their Hell Camino Belgian Quad. So that was pretty cool. That's one of our most traditional beers, and that was the first beer I made straight recipe from scratch.
Yeah,
like other beers we've made here, I've made adjustments from old recipes, but that one I just went for it.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool to win a medal. But that's probably our lowest selling, least selling beer. Like it's 10%, it's malty, it's strong, it's Belgian, not for everyone, but hey, it's to style.
Right.
And I'm not going to brew a bunch of beers that are to style to win awards. It's awesome to win an award, but I'd rather make some fun, tasty beer to sell it.
Yeah, it's man, that GABF it's a cool award to win, but
it really is. Oh, I was actually on my driving up to visit my girlfriend at the time in LA, watching the live stream on YouTube.
Yeah.
And kind of half paying attention, it's kind of a boring award ceremony. And then I just heard Dose for when they were saying Dose Desperados, like saying the beer, and I was just yelling and banging on my steering wheel, and like cool. It was 2020, October 2020. It's a rough time to be a brewer running a brewery. I was a little down in the dumps. Like, is this the future? Because the government was shutting us down. That's not very fun. And boy, that picked me right back up. That made me happy and gave me a little new lease on life as a brewer. And it was nice to get some validation as a young brewer. So I'm all for the competitions and love them, but I don't, that's not where I base my year-round and brewing schedule on.
Yeah. No, but it's definitely an accomplishment to get an award, but then keep doing what you're doing. Like with that Pilsner, I wouldn't change it to try to win a medal or anything because you might win a medal somewhere else for it, which is fine, but...
and we only send 4 beers per competition, and we only choose 3 or 4 competitions a year.
Right.
So I just choose the most 2-style beers, and that's fine. If they win, they win. If they don't, oh well.
Yeah. But, you're passionate about it, and it's not always about winning awards or anything like that, and I'm kind of like the same way. Like, my award or reward as a brewer is when I see somebody enjoying my beer, and that's what I care more about.
Yeah, you're my reward right now. You drank my beer somewhere and had to track us down.
I did.
And I love that.
Yeah, I did. Like I said, it was one of those things where, I was there because it was, industry night and I had my beer there too, but I'm like, okay, what else is here? So they had, there was an IPA from Solaris, and of course I love the guys up at Solaris, and then I saw the Mexican lager, and I'm like, that's what I drink a lot of. So let's go ahead and give that a shot. And I'm like, it's Desperados. And I think I had a beer one time before in a can that the Solaris guys had one time when I was sitting there and they were sharing beer. But I drank it. I was like, God damn, this is good. So I had more.
And what's cool about that account for us to have, I had never heard of it until you messaged us.
Yeah.
Didn't know where it was until I looked it up. Yeah. And apparently it's one of our regulars who got us that account.
Oh, that's cool.
Our sales guy, our owner, did not go out and get that account. That was one of our regulars who lives up in Marietta, and wherever he goes, he's asking about Dose. Why don't you have Dose beer? And pushes us hard. And look, you got an account and brought you here.
That's perfect. Neat. Yeah, I love it.
Buy that man a pint.
That's right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We take care of them.
Such a cool location. So again, shout out to Garth and Travis for Quill. It's right underneath the Gambling Cowboy in Old Town Front Street. They're going to capture. Yeah, they're going to capture all the people waiting for their tables at the restaurant, and they also have some light food and hors d'oeuvres and stuff there too as well. But the one thing I know about Garth, if you're not familiar, he has Open Tap app, which is a really cool app. Go ahead and download it on any platform, whether it be Apple or Android. It's okay. They're on both. But unlike Untapped, which is sometimes a bad word in the brewing industry, shout out to the person that gave me a 0.5 for a dad bod rating. I really appreciate that. You're awesome, because your review said, I don't really like blondes. So you gave me a 0.5. Thank you.
That sounds reasonable. That was a good review.
Right, yeah. But yeah, it's a really, really cool spot, and I'm proud of those guys. He did a lot with the app. You can buy somebody beer when they're sitting in a bar, and it's cool. Just really cool. It tells you where all the events are at, all the breweries are at. It's a really cool app. And then also Garth, who's become a friend of mine over the years, he does all the artwork for my can art, and he's just is cool dude. So couldn't be happier for them, and happy for you guys, because your beer's there, and I think it's doing well because they want more kegs. So
yeah, they ordered 2 more.
That's pretty
Thanks
awesome.
for drinking it all.
Yeah. Sorry about that. But yeah, they had a good grand opening. So great beer. So go down to if you don't want to make the drive all the way to San Marcos, and you're up in the Riverside County area, Quell and Temecula, right off of 5th and Front Street. Go check them out and get some Dos Desperados and Dad Bod. Yeah, go check it out.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm glad I know about you guys now. I was not, forgive me, but I was not familiar with Dos Desperados prior to BeerDad setting up the show, and now I love you guys' stuff, man.
Awesome. You all have a mug on the wall any day now.
Okay, yeah. Now I know to look out for you guys.
So now we're back to a different beer here that you were talking about being one of your favorite IPAs. It's good. I've snuck some already. I've seen you drinking it, but
yeah, I love the aftertaste on it. There's like I don't know if it's like a candy or like some kind of like sweetness at the end.
That's the Citra.
Really
so
okay.
Last week, I think this beer is 2.5 weeks old right now, maybe 3. So it's still in its sweet spot. But my favorite, it's oddly specific, but about 7 to 10 days old. This beer is perfect. It was tasting like Hawaiian fruit punch that window. Ooh. For whatever reason, the bitterness of the Zeus bittering hops and that fruitiness of the Citra kind of like combines and mellows together around that period, and it's just so fruity. People think I put extract in it or like a puree in it during that time, and I just love it so much.
Yeah, it's really
lower
good.
Bitterness for a West Coast, so all that fruity Citra can pop out.
It's refreshing, which is something that when you hear Citra, like usually you kind of get that on a beer, but what I really like about it is that you're talking about the bitterness, is that I don't have a lingering bitterness in my palate, and it's hugely important. And so I can respect that as a brewer, because back in the day, some of those beers that were getting put out by some of the big monsters in the industry, like Stone Brewing, would wreck your palate almost. And that's when I didn't like IPAs. But then when you can have something like this, where you can get that full body flavor, and still have some bitterness and the dryness, which I really love, and then just like you're not stuck with it. Like, I'm not going to be like, this would ruin my meal or anything like that. Like, I would pair this with, I'm just going to throw it out there because I love them, tacos. Mm-hmm. If I had some tacos, I would crush this. I mean, perfect pairing with some tacos. But you did a good job on this too. So 3 for 3 now.
Thank you. Yeah, that's the benefit of doing this for a while, and I've probably brewed this beer 50, 60 times, so I could slowly make adjustments. So like, this batch was maybe a little too bitter. I didn't taste the fruitiness of the Citra as much this time, and just make those tiny little tweaks each time. Yeah, and that's what it's all about. That's why I love it.
Yeah, you did a damn fine job with this one. This is something that I think for somebody that says, I don't really like IPAs, they would still drink it and like it. Mm-hmm. I think.
Totally, yeah.
What do you think, Brandon?
I mean, I don't know if I have anything more to add than what you said. I mean, it's a great beer. Like, this would be something I would kind of like start my night with, or like, you sit down at the restaurant, like, this is a good like pre-meal beer.
When you're still tasting it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, man, that's really good. I just I love the way it finishes, like dry and sweet. It's like, it's good stuff, man.
That's so good.
What is the history of those? Like, how did it get started?
So
like the theme and everything, as much as you know.
The owners are Dora and Steve Munson. Mm-hmm. They're the Una and the Dos of Dos Desperados. Steve retired, I don't even know the timeline anymore. I don't know, 2011, 2012, and was already homebrewing. And then, when you retire, you get real intense into homebrewing.
Right.
Bought bigger tanks and more ingredients and had to move into the garage, and it was just getting too much for his wife Dora. As much fun they had, giving beers to their friends, it just became too much. Yeah. So all of his friends convinced him to open up a brewery, and they love hosting parties. So they said, "All right, let's open up a brewery." And they came up to San Marcos, found this spot, and all they want to do is host parties and have friends over, and that's what we do at the brewery every day.
Yeah.
And they were into Westerns and Clint Eastwood. We have a Clint Eastwood mural on the wall here.
That's pretty badass. I'm going to take some video and pictures here. And that's going in
Dora is Mexican, so they kind of combined this Western love and Mexican heritage into Dos Desperados. So Pancho Villa is our main mascot. That's on our shirt here.
Yeah.
We call it the Faceless Pancho. It's just got a mustache and a big hat. And we have a lot of fun with that theme. We have a lot of Pancho Villa memorabilia on the walls. Our regulars are mostly Mexican, and they just feel real at home here. It's dark and saloon-like in here. A lot of wood. A lot of old school brewery reclaimed wood, and barrel tables and metal stools. But we like the vibe for sure.
It's definitely something I can appreciate. Kind of not necessarily on the Western side, but like the barrel tables and stuff like that. I always loved, and I probably might see that in my brewery as well. I think it's classic, and rather than just having that plain metal brewery table that everyone's so used to seeing, like, I just think it adds a little touch to it, and it fits with this Western theme for sure. But they did a good job here. I love the giant gun, and obviously Clint Eastwood. That's freaking so cool. You have no idea how cool that is. But yeah, they did a good job here. So shout out to the owners of Dos Desperados, and congratulations on 10 years for sure.
Thank you.
Man. That's crazy.
Yeah, we're excited. I've been already. Our 10th anniversary is going to be in April.
Okay.
And I'm already brainstorming what beer I want to make, because 10, that's a big one. So
absolutely,
I just got to decide what's going to be funky and cool enough for 10, and also, can we sell the whole batch?
Yes.
That's always in the back of my mind as well.
Smart man.
It may be a 10% triple IPA,
or
it may be a high ABV lager. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Cool. I don't know why, but you already know I like dark lager, but maybe go that route. Maybe a little high ABV dark lager.
Maybe I just brew my imperial stout and throw lager yeast into it.
That's a good idea. There you go. Yeah, I mean,
that sounds
10
fun.
years is you got to go hard for 10 years.
Oh, I know it.
Yeah.
I know it. Maybe I just make 10 new beers.
There you go.
And it's a race to sell it all.
Crazy.
Here's an idea. You do 10
crazy in a good way.
collabs.
10
collabs.
Or one collab with 10 breweries, kind of like Capital of Craft.
There you go.
That could be cool.
I think I have 10 friends.
There you go. Hey, BeerDad's Brewworks are
there
right
we go.
down
We
the
got
street.
one.
I volunteer my
need 9 more.
services. I'll throw some hops in a tank. No, it's a joke. I was who is it? Haze Boys. They put the the memes and stuff on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
And they just recently did one where it says Brewer during the collab and doing their hard work,
And all
they
the
just
sales reps taking pictures.
dump the hops, and they're like, I'm good. Meanwhile, the head brewer is gonna be doing all the work, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I joked about that with Joe when I did the collab with him. I did a little more than that. I carried some sacks up to the
you gotta
to the
mash
platform,
out.
and we had fun. I really enjoyed brewing with Joe. Shout out to Oscar's Brewing Company in Temecula. For all of you San Diego heads that miss Oscar's food, Pat and Oscar's, you got to go up there because they still got everything there.
Oh, cool. I haven't been there. I've been hearing a lot about it this week, oddly enough. So I guess
Really?
I need to go.
Yeah, if you ever want to go and you want introduction, definitely happy to introduce you to Joe and the food. Highly recommend the lamb meatball pizza. And, of course, their breadsticks are out of this world. Everybody knows about their breadsticks, and you have to have the mustard dip for the breadsticks.
Oh, yeah.
And then any beer that Joe makes is 100% solid. Right now, his pineapple ship wheat ale is so good.
Pineapple.
4.8%, super refreshing.
Oh, yeah.
Got that nice hint of pineapple in there, nothing too heavy. And
I'm always curious about a pineapple beer. I had one judging a homebrew competition one time, made me want to throw up. It tastes like baby puke. The pineapple went rancid. So every time I see one, I'm like, all right,
It's
let's
funny
see
you
what
say
this
that.
got.
Like, I wouldn't necessarily say the baby puke. I don't know. Maybe it was.
That's technically
but I
an
remember,
off flavor.
Yeah.
Baby puke.
Yeah, I remember one time having a pineapple
Wouldn't
beer,
be a positive
and it tasted
tasting
like suntan lotion.
Oh.
Yeah,
A little coconut in there, maybe?
It was brutal. Yeah, it was really strong. It was an IPA, and it was really strong on the pineapple and the coconut flavor. And I was like, suntan lotion. I didn't care for it.
Could be Samba hops too. Samba, I've heard, says it
coconut.
tastes like coconut,
Yeah.
but coconut ends up tasting like sunscreen. So
It's a hard thing to
could
deal
be
with
that,
for sure in a beer, and I try to stray away from that. But yeah, I do like pineapple though, and Joe does a good job with it. So shout out to Oscars.
I say I like trying pineapple beers because I had a bad experience, because that's one of my favorite parts about drinking beers as well. I like to drink beers for science.
Right.
If we have old beers, whether they're ours or someone else's, I'm always curious to drink that. I know I'm not going to enjoy it, but I'm going to learn something from it. Right. Whether it's me trying to figure out what is wrong with it,
right,
or just knowing, oh, this IPA tastes like this after a year, or this lager sours after 2 years, something like that. It's gross, but fun.
So in the name of science, have you ever drank a 3-year-old IPA? Because I just did recently, and we'll talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, one of our regulars behind me here, he jokes at least once a week to me. He has a growler, which we haven't even sold in a long time. We'll fill them, but we haven't sold them in a long time, of our double IPA. It might be 5, 6 years old now.
Oh, wow.
And he just keeps threatening me with bringing it over to drink it, and he can't remember, thank God. But I'll smell it, and I won't drink that. That's something I already know what it's going to be, and it's going to make me not want to drink beer for the rest of the day.
So, like most of us have beer fridges.
Something gets lost in the back.
Something got lost in the back. It was an IPA, a collab, Belching Beaver, and can't think of it had a marijuana theme, like the Cheech and Chong in the van, kind of a hologram can art. It's 3.5 years old. And I thought, well, I'm going to get rid of it anyways. Let's see if it tastes good. It actually tasted good. Did it have a lot of crap floating in it? Yes. But it actually still tasted decent. Obviously not what it tasted like when it was fresh.
Pretty sweet.
Yeah, it tended to almost get that like barley wine type flavor to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, honestly, when it comes to a high ABV IPA, sometimes if it's 1 year old, maybe let it sit another year or two.
Right.
That's it's a poor man's barley wine.
There you go. Yeah, it wasn't.
See what happens.
It wasn't bad, but I didn't drink the whole thing. I poured the rest. But I was curious. I'm like, what's the oldest on an IPA? I found it back there, and I'm like, well, it sucks to just waste the whole thing, so I had to at least give it a go.
What's the oldest beer you've ever had?
That is an excellent question. We actually had it on a Christmas episode.
It's always Christmas
when
time.
Josh was still alive. It is a God, man, I'm gonna have to research this, but it was a beer from Europe that's a famous Christmas beer, and the one that he had. He had it in his beer cellar for 10 years, 8 years, somewhere around there. It was good.
Was it carbonated?
Not a whole lot of carbonation. Yeah, it was very, very subtle. You were wanting the carbonation, but the flavors that we were getting out of it was really good. I'll have to dig deep. It was probably 3 or 4 years ago on a Christmas episode. I'll have to look it up, but
I went to a Christmas party, I think 3 or 4 years ago, oddly enough. It was at Dr. Bill's house from Wild Barrel and Stone.
Oh, Dr. Bill.
And he was breaking out some crazy stuff, because you can imagine he probably has a couple beers in the back of his place. Crazy cellar. It was a Saison, I believe, that was bottled the year I was born, 1994.
Oh, shit.
And I was like, wow. All right. Normally that's a wine thing, but it's a Saison. I'm sure it held up all right. It was pretty good. It wasn't as effervescent and fruity and fresh as you would imagine a new Saison would be, but it was cool. It was like a 2-liter big Magnum, and I'm drinking it with Dr. Bill. I'm like, oh, this is so neat. This beer's older than I am.
Yeah. It's your birth year. You gotta go for it.
That was cool.
I think for me, I was at this anniversary party for a brewery out in like the Los Angeles area. It's called Hand Brewed in Chatsworth. And they were busting out just some crazy shit for their anniversary, like all the barrel aged stuff that they had been holding on to. And yeah, I think it was something like 8 years old. It was like an 8-year-old barrel age. It was actually pretty good.
Yeah. Those beers, barrel aged stout or barley wine, anything high ABV, it seems like it'll last forever. Right. It ages up to like 2 years and then doesn't change unless it'll sour over an infection or something.
Yeah.
But it's amazing how beer can age depending on what style it is.
Right. Yeah.
I saved
more science.
I saved one of the first cans off the canning machine of Dad Bod. And I'll probably never drink it.
Yeah,
it
don't
just
open
sits
that.
there and but yeah, like 40 years from now, if the brewery's still in business, that'd be interesting.
I've got a handful of cans and bottles like that.
That's awesome.
It's just fun to have as mementos.
Oh yeah, like it's really cool to see it, like to go from like concept in my head to there it is on a can. But yeah, I probably won't open that, and it's a blonde, so probably it'd be terrible.
It'll suck, so don't open it.
It'll be like the time. Let's see. So shout out to Uncle Craig. What the hell was that? Was it Narragansett? It was a Midwest brewery, I think. So no, not East Coast. It was Midwest brewery, but we found an old ass can with like the pop top.
Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
And not highly recommended at all. But it was just cool to find it and pop it open, and there was no fizz at all when you popped it open.
Yeah.
But it had been sitting for a very, very long time. I think that was, you want to talk about maybe 80s beer or something like that. Yeah, but for the experience, it was cool. But yeah, one sip and you're done on that one.
I've seen this guy who's on TikTok. He hunts down really old beers, like 70s, 80s, 90s, like cans like Miller Lights and stuff.
Yeah.
Cracks it open, pours it in a glass, and you see how chunky and gross it is, and he just chugs the entire thing.
He's nuts.
He's
going to die one day.
Gross.
He's going to die one day.
But the cans are so cool, and it's such a shame he's opening them, but he understands that he's going to get views for it, so he's going to do it. And it makes me sick every time. I love it.
I saw something similar on TikTok. Speaking of TikTok, got to go down that rabbit hole every once in a while.
Oh, yeah.
I was so against it for so long until my
just
coworker,
like seltzers, right?
Yep. She was like, you just got to do it. And then the crazy thing is, so I get on TikTok, I make a page for the podcast, and I think it's like maybe 600 followers, which is nothing compared to like what our Instagram is. But for some reason, after I did that, our downloads tripled. And I was like, I don't know if it's because of that. It was random. Just we got listeners out of nowhere. But like it just going on TikTok, that happened. So I contributed to it. But I'm like, how come they're listening but not following? But then I realized like when I do TikTok, I scroll, I see something cool, and then I go research it. And I don't necessarily follow. So that's probably why. But yeah, like you go down the TikTok thing, and I saw a guy similar to that with the beer. But he does like classic sodas. Like he was popping open Surges from like the 90s and like all these like
Pepsi Clear,
Ecto Cooler, like the Ghostbusters stuff. And like you're just sitting there like, oh, that's my childhood right there. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
and then
nostalgia's powerful.
And then he's like drinking it, and he makes these faces and stuff like that because there's like no carbonation and it's just like syrup and
rancid sugar.
Speaking of Pepsi, have you guys heard about Pepsi is going to open a restaurant somewhere in New York City? I think like Times Square area. And it's going to be like a full-on restaurant, but they're going to have like every Pepsi possible, like all of the like legacy Pepsis.
Like Coca-Cola does in Vegas, right?
I don't know if they have something like that.
Yeah, Coca-Cola's got a spot, and they just have Coca-Cola from all over the world.
Oh,
so like
that's
some
cool.
are clear,
That's cool.
some taste almost like it, but just terrible for some reason. You can't figure out why. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
it's funny you say that because when I was in Sweden, I don't know if it was Coke or Pepsi, but I just remember tasting it going, I was wrong with it, and it was almost like it had a spice. Like one thing I absolutely hate is cloves. Hate it. If it's a flavor in something, I don't like it. In fact, my mother-in-law, when she would make ham for Easter or Thanksgiving, she did like the maple glazed ham, and then she would shove like molasses and cloves on it. The molasses I can handle. I can't do the cloves. I don't know what it is.
You didn't do the crushed cigarettes back? Remember when that was a thing? You crush it and
No.
cigarettes?
Yeah, no, not that. I don't like them, and that's what it tasted like. So imagine Coke or Pepsi with like a clove spice to it.
Yeah.
I was like, this is horrible.
Maybe they just like clove in that country.
Maybe
or
I don't
just
know.
got to differentiate.
Yeah, I went from that to I want to say I didn't drink a damn soda after that. It just ruined me, and I just stuck to like iced tea and beer. Well, I was already drinking beer anyways, but yeah, it was I believe that was Sweden, Malmo, Sweden, where I had that. It was at a Burger King. They also serve beer at Burger King, which I was like, well, I don't want this. I'll just go ahead and switch to a beer. Thank you.
There you go.
Right. A Whopper and I want to say it was Carlsberg beer that they had on tap.
Oh yeah,
At a fast food restaurant. Imagine that. That was pretty cool.
Man, well, you're seeing it like Shake Shack's got their own beer, and some of the higher end fast food joints have it. I don't know, man.
Yeah, I need to talk to Five Guys.
Yeah,
that's where I started.
Can you imagine? You should do a
serve
Five
beer?
Guys.
Wouldn't that be
collab.
some full circle?
That would.
Boy, I worked at Five Guys and here at the brewery for one summer. Free burgers and fries and beer the entire summer.
As a young dude,
I think I
how
lost
could
a
that-
few pounds somehow, but
Wow.
boy, was that a good summer.
Yeah,
You know, I love Five Guys. Like a lot of people here in Southern California are either In-N-Out or Five Guys, and I just a lover of burgers in general. As you can see, I have a dad bod physique from all the burgers I've
Oh,
eaten.
I mean, you better.
in my years. But what I like about Five Guys that In-N-Out can't do is I can get mushrooms on my burger, and yeah, I'd load that up. And it's funny because I feel like fast food places, when you ask for extra something, sometimes they get a little smart alecky, and I'm okay with that.
They
with the
want it at
mushrooms.
Five Guys.
Yeah, like extra
They
mushrooms.
go
and
pile it
yeah,
how high.
I open it up and I'm like, that's a lot of mushrooms, but I'm okay with it because I'll eat them.
That's If people say they don't like Five Guys, one, it's expensive. I totally understand, but it's not for everyone. If you like a good burger and you like condiments, in toppings, you gotta go to Five Guys
Hell
because
yeah.
you don't pay any more
Yeah.
for all those toppings. If you get a cheeseburger, you can get 40 pieces of cheese on
Yes.
there. If you get a bacon burger, you can get a
much
mountain
bacon as
of
you want.
bacon, and
Yeah.
it's no extra charge. And if you know that and you go over there and do it right, boy, it's worth it.
Yeah, and also too, word of suggestion: if you're wanting to eat a normal meal and you order French fries, order a small fry, please, because
If you're by yourself, little fry only.
I made that mistake. Actually, here's the mistake I made. My virgin Five Guys mistake that I made. The first time I went to a Five Guys when we got our first one, because it was an East Coast thing for the longest time.
Yeah.
Got our first one in Temecula, and I go there with my wife, and I asked for, I ordered the burger, like the big burger.
Did
and
you
I-
get 2 large fry?
So I asked
for
for a
each
large, each one of us got a large fry, but I also asked for an extra patty because I wanted a double, not realizing it's already a double. So I
It is
opened this
confusing.
damn,
The regular burger's a double.
I opened this damn thing and it's a triple, and I had bacon and
And you paid
mushrooms and-
$90.
Yeah, I think at the time, and this was a while
too bad.
ago, I want to say it was probably $32 for the wife and I.
When I worked there, management probably wouldn't like me for it, but they'd come in, a couple would come in and they get 2 large fry, and I go, no, you don't need 2 large fry. You need 1 medium fry.
Yeah, they didn't tell
You
us.
need a regular fry. It's
got it.
silly how much.
We took fries home. We had to because
Oh,
they,
yeah.
they put it in the little
They reheat
tray,
well.
and then obviously more than what fits in the tray in the brown bag, and you're like, holy
Yeah, you get a
crap.
cupful and then a scoop after
Yep.
the cup.
Yep.
And then, depending on who's working, there's going to be a little bit left over. They'll still toss it in the
Yeah.
bag because we're just going to toss them in the trash.
And I will say this for all the listeners: you can hate me and not listen to us ever again, but Five Guys fries are 100% better than In-N-Out fries.
They're the best fries in the market. Like, I'm biased because I work there, but if the person... Problem is, Five Guys, there's humans working. There's no alarms going off on fryers. So if you have a good fry cook and you're lucky enough to go in when there's a good fry cook, they're going to be the best fries you'll ever have. Especially if you get a little Cajun seasoning on there with some barbecue sauce. Guess I'm having that for lunch now that I'm talking about it.
yeah.
I know it sounds good.
That sounds pretty
And
good.
it's right across
the
far
street.
from here,
Right
right?
across the street.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Sounds like a plan. Are there still employees there that were there when you were there? Or are they all
No,
gone?
I haven't been there in 7 years, but I would.
Wow.
Oh, trust me, I would. After I was done working there, I'd still go over there. My old manager would be there, and he'd hook it up, and and then guys who never even met me would hear about me and know
Yeah.
who I was when I went in, and they'd hook it up too.
that's
I was
cool.
trying to hold on to that connection for as long
cool.
as I could.
Walking
You're
in there
like,
like
hey,
the man, like, yeah.
Get this guy some
guy's
fries.
order.
If you're
Yeah.
21 and you're off work, come over and see me across the street. I'll hook you
Oh,
up.
I do that. They never come though.
No.
Probably because they close after we do. So that's on us a little bit.
That'll do it.
If they get off on mid shift, they can come over.
Right.
That's awesome.
But the problem is they'd come in smelling like fries, and it would make me hungry. So if they come empty-handed, it would not be good.
Oh, they got to come in with some fries.
Yeah.
Get a
If they were
beer.
smart, they would.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, I mean, you're talking about full circle. I mean, you started working at Five Guys Burgers and Fries, and now you're head brewer Dos Desperados. Is there anything that you think that you want to do in the future, or are you just happy where you're at doing head brewer Dos Desperados? Obviously, I think you guys probably have room to grow, for sure.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of room to grow for us. We're small, and we like it that way. We have no
Yes.
outside investment. It's all Steve and Dora.
Yeah.
And I think we're one of the very few breweries that can say that. It's just the owner running this place. And I love it, the creative freedom I have here being head brewer.
Right.
And I'm learning as much as I can and how to run a business and how to make beer.
Yeah.
And I mean, my goal is to own a brewery, of course. That's every brewer's goal. And this is our owner's retirement project, so he's not going to be doing this forever. So my goal is to take over Dos Desperados.
Awesome.
And my dream is Weir Beer. So my last name is Weir.
Yeah.
And Weir Beer has a fun ring to it. And
It does.
We'll have our whole different theme. I don't know when that will be. And ideally, we do it here, too, because I don't want to run away from our regulars here.
Right.
But that's the dream.
That's
awesome.
Really,
Well,
that's really cool.
Looking forward to trying that one day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you got it.
I had something, but I lost it. You go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say it doesn't have the name, so just for the listeners that are interested in that beer that we had on the Christmas episode, episode 8 in season 2, right? We're
Episode 8?
season.
Oh, shit.
So season 2,
wow.
episode 8 was our Christmas. Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays is where you're going to find out whatever that beer is. Because I'm looking at the description of the episode, and it says all the different beers we had that were Christmas beers, and then it says a crazy beer Josh found. So that's going to be the one.
Crazy beer.
Yeah, it was somewhere in Europe. I'm not sure what country, but he found the beer at a bottle shop somewhere, and then he just cellared it for a while, and we enjoyed it on that episode. So go listen to that episode and find out what it is, because I'm old and I can't remember.
Those episodes always get kind of weird too. We do we do a holiday episode, and then prior to that, around Thanksgiving time, we do a stout season episode. Where everybody brings whatever stouts they have.
Yeah.
And,
memory gets a little fuzzy on those days, too.
Oh, yeah.
So
This last
gotta write
one we
them
did
down.
last year, we didn't start recording until like 1 a.m. or something like that. It was like an
Stout season
overnight.
one?
It was
Yeah.
like an overnight recording.
We were in one of our sponsors, the Craft Lounge in Beaumont, California, it was a late night.
Yeah, it got weird in a good way.
Yeah, so our stout season episode is always weird because we try to procure as many stouts as we can. I think we had 14 different stouts,
Something like that.
and all of them not a thing under 10 or 12 ABV, if not way higher. And it was brutal. But we had, 5, 6 of us there. So
Yeah.
sampling,
But
trying to
with
keep it smart.
The pregame and the postgame.
I love those kind of
you know,
nights, but
it's-
boy, I don't
yeah.
want to drink a stout for a month after those
Right,
nights.
right.
Yeah, usually, and to be honest, I want to say, I can 100% be honest and say that the last time I had a stout probably was, and it was very little. I think we had some, was it Hop Anonymous? I can't remember what episode we had, or Harlan. I want to say might have been the last time we had an actual, and that was that collab with Horace. So, that was.
That was thick and sticky, I'm sure.
Man,
Yeah, that was the one
had-
with all the coconut.
I had some crazy stouts. I was out in North Carolina about a month ago in Asheville at a brewery called Burial, which I know has been talked about on the show before.
Right.
I don't know if you've ever heard of Burial.
No.
Okay. Man, they had just some crazy adjuncted stouts, but they're beautiful, and they had really cool. They had a collab with Tripping Animals. They had a couple of other just really crazy collabs. Yeah, Burial Brew Company in Asheville. If anyone's out that way randomly in North Carolina, great beer.
Asheville's like the San Diego of
I
North
wanna go.
Carolina.
Yeah,
I really wanna
and
go.
it's such a cool spot, man. It's in the middle of a fucking forest,
Yeah.
and they have these hollowed out vans and trucks and stuff as the seats.
Oh,
and it's all
cool.
pretty much outdoor, and you're just sitting in a hollowed out van with brewery stickers from
That's cool.
all over.
Love that.
And you're just sitting, they have really good food there too. So yeah, there's a lot of great breweries out in Nashville, but
There is. I want to shout out actually a meadery out there.
Oh.
You'll know who I'm talking about here in a second. So, Northless Mead Works.
Oh, okay.
Out of Asheville, North Carolina. He was actually formerly the marketing manager at King's. So he moved back there, and he's always made the mead, and now he's getting his own little meadery open. So shout out to him. Is it Gavin? I think his name was.
Forgive me, I don't recall.
We'll figure it out.
But
Yeah, the mead will do that.
I just
Yeah,
so it's
exactly.
funny. I know him as Thick Boys because he does the Thick Boys custom glassware, and that's where he got started in the industry. And he made mead. He worked for Kings, and now he's back there.
Okay.
Cool.
So really cool. Mead is like something that I'm like slowly getting into, and he makes good mead from what I hear. So shout out to him.
Mead's fun. I like how different each one can be, not just based on the flavor they add to it, but dry and sweet and all that is really fun. We have a meadery down the street. I don't go to it as much as I should because I think beer after work, not mead. So I always forget to go. But
Mead
every
hits
once
a
in a while,
little
I'm like,
differently
damn.
sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
Mediocrity, right?
Mediocrity.
Yeah.
Mediocrity.
And then
Okay,
there's
then-
Raging Cider and Mead, but I haven't been there in a few years.
Yeah.
You need to check them out.
I'm glad you just jogged my memory of what I wanted to ask you. What is the San Marcos brew scene like in terms of like the breweries around here? Like, is there a lot of collaboration between you guys? Like specifically in San Marcos, not necessarily like the greater county.
There's a good amount in San Marcos. I don't do as many collaborations as I should. Just as a one-man production team, it gets a little difficult, and we don't make new beers very often, but I love doing them.
Yeah.
We got Rip Current down the street. They're most similar to us. I guess they opened about a year before us. We haven't done a collab with them, but we're friends. I go over there and drink beers. Then we have 1075 that just opened up recently down the street. Then they had to close due to some permitting issues. But we're good friends with them. I wash their kegs sometimes, and we help each other out.
Yeah, I actually met him at the industry opening at
Ryan?
At Creative Creature, our sister brewery. Yeah.
Yeah, he's everywhere since he can't be open and working the bar at his place. So he's always around. He's at Blue Fire a lot. Oh, and then Blue Fire, of course,
Blue
down
Fire's
the
a
street.
cool brewery. I love
They're
that
probably we're probably closest with them of all the San Marcos breweries.
Now BeerDad's Brewworks.
That's right.
Now that you know me.
We're going to be besties now.
Yeah. And Creative Creature, I highly encourage you to go.
Well, I think I'm going in an hour.
There you go.
I need to go check it
You
out.
might
And
see me there.
now that I know your spot's over there, I got to go check that out too.
Yeah, their stuff is crazy, man.
But Blue
So
Fire's
good.
great. I met Charlie and Tommy actually at a San Diego Brewers Convention about the year before they opened.
Yeah.
And when they described where they were, I'm like, oh, you're right down the street from me. And I was working out the gym 2 doors down from their brewery.
Oh, nice.
And thank goodness I stopped going to that gym once they opened, because that would have just negated working out. I would not be good. But I like going over there. Today's their anniversary, so I was going to go over there for a pint after this.
Oh, cool. Good. Congrats.
And they're great. It's just Charlie and Tommy, the 2 brothers, and their dad John running the place on their own. And as we're really small, that's a little bit smaller than us.
Right.
So I appreciate that, and I try to support small breweries like that.
Awesome.
But our closest friends are probably Dogleg and Helia Brewing in Vista.
Yeah.
They're off of Keystone Way. Actually, I guess the brewer Dogleg's gone now. He always sneaks out of here. He's one of my best friends, and then Kelby over at Helia. We call ourselves the Yeasty Boys. We exchange yeast between the 3 of us at all times.
That's cool.
Love it.
Keep that yeast fresh and happy, so our beer is delicious. And help each other out with ingredients and supplies and stuff. And it's you meet the local brewers because that's what you do, and you want to help each other out and learn from each other. And they turn out to be 2 of my best friends.
That's cool.
That's so cool, man.
That's what I love about the brewing industry now, versus flashback a long time ago when it was, you were fighting each other because you wanted to steal each other's business and stuff like that. And I feel like the pandemic really, and before that, people were much more helpful than it used to be. But even after the pandemic, it was like, you realize that you help each other out, because if I flash back to my days of, not opening the brewery and just being a beer snob, as people like to call me, what do I like to do? I like to go to multiple breweries. I didn't have, and there's some people that do the mug clubs and have their home brewery and stuff like that. But for me, I just wanted to go to multiple breweries and patronize all of them and support all of them, because, and I think that's what most people do. And so it's really cool when people come together and they collab, they help each other out with supplies. Like, hey man, I really need some malt or something like that, and you got it. Here, take it. On your next order me a bag to replace it. Like stuff like that that you see going on in the industry now, I think it's amazing, and learning too. Like, because you could be an amazing brewer, but you've never really perfected a certain style, but they do at another brewery, and you go and you work with them and learn how to do it so that you can do it at your own brewery, and you can help them brew something that they're not very good at, and it's kind of one of those things where the industry has definitely come together over the years, and I think that's what's one of the coolest things, and that's why we're doing kind of a collab brewery with Creative Creature, because I think it's a cool concept. People are going to be able to come in and have two different breweries in within walking distance of each other and try totally different styles at either brewery.
Yeah, you're definitely not stepping on each other's toes there when it comes to styles.
Right.
So
Yeah,
totally.
Because I might maybe one beer here and there dabble into the crazy stuff that Mikey's capable of.
It's hard
the
to
head
keep up
brewer
with that
there.
crazy stuff.
But yeah, so they're definitely, their name fits them. Creative Creature for sure. So yeah, I'm glad you're going over there to try some beers. I'll see if Mikey's there and introduce you.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's great.
Really good
but yeah,
stuff.
this brewery here, Dos Desperados, you're doing an amazing job. I think you have a nice lineup, and I see regulars here drinking out of their mugs. This is really cool, and as a brewer, I'm probably sure that feels amazing to see.
Oh yeah.
Because that means that they're loyal to you, and they come in and they've invested in the mug club, and they want to come in and. Randomly, you guys are the Florida State University watch party brewery, which I think is crazy because we're in San Diego, and that's cool to find. You don't see that too often where you're in a city and they focus on a certain sport. I know down here some of the NFL bars that used to be, I know this is a bad word in San Diego, but Charger bars. Still a Charger fan. I couldn't give it up. It was too much of my life. I hate that they're in Los Angeles because of traffic and everything else, but I still like them. But I'm trying to remember I want to say Rip Current or something like that made themselves the official Jacksonville Jaguars bar.
I did not know that.
There you go.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so like different things like that. It's cool because, growing up in San Diego, I know 100% that this is a transplant city.
Oh, yeah.
Because of the military and everything else. So it's cool that places like Dos Desperados can appeal to someone here in San Diego that maybe was from Florida or went to FSU, and they can come here and root on their team and not have to just only be an Aztecs bar, right? Because it's San Diego, so that's really cool. So
yeah, I mean, we are a USC bar as well. We actually took down the USC flag to put up the Florida State flag this year. Because every bar is a USC bar. We're in San Diego. Sure. It's just south of LA. Every bar is a San Diego State bar, so it's fun to be something unique like Florida State. And boy, they have a big following, a big alumni that are here. I mean, my wife is one of them. That's why we're doing it. So it's nice to be able to have that place, especially on Saturdays at 9 a.m. We wouldn't normally be open then, but hey, we opened up at 9 a.m. and we had customers.
I'll tell you what, nothing. It's obviously a mix type of beer, but I love micheladas in the morning, and
we have them.
Yeah, I might have to try one just to say I did with the Mexican lager.
Yep,
because that's what's up.
Yeah, I gotta try that Mexican lager, man.
You're going, you're going to. Yeah, you have to. Like I said, it was pretty much one sip, and I was like, man, this is really good. I like this. And then I looked down at I didn't even actually. So when I ordered it, all I saw was Mexican lager. And so then I took the drink and I had to look down and go, who made this? And I was like, Dos Desperados. Okay, right on. So, yeah, it worked out, and I'm glad that that happened because here we are.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. So kudos to that. But yeah, we'll go ahead and end the show and we'll still sample on some stuff and have a good time. But I really want to thank you for having us here at Dos Desperados in San Marcos. For all our listeners, you know that the Hop Highway has so much to offer here between Oceanside, Carlsbad, Vista, San Marcos, Escondido. There's so many places to go, and I encourage you to support all of these small businesses, and Dos Desperados being one of them, because it's here in San Marcos. It's easy to get to. You're right off the 78 freeway, and you heard it. If you're hungry, Five Guys right in the area. Get yourself a burger and fries. Come on in and enjoy some amazing beer. Hayden, you're doing a great job. Keep it up.
Thank you.
I honestly, like, every beer I had was amazing. I'm Spotlight for me, Pilsner. That's my style. But the IPA was amazing as well. What about you, Brandon? What do you think?
I mean, it's tough, but yeah, the Pilsner was just out of this world. They both were out of this world, but the Pilsner, just from a style perspective, I just loved it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you're doing a great job here, and if you ever want to collab or hang out or whatever, you let me know.
Yeah. Now I know where you're at. I'll come figure it out in an hour. We'll
There
check
you go.
the place out. and
Absolutely.
Maybe I'll give you a little sample of my dark lager off the Bright Tank when we're done here. You'll be the first one to try it.
Sounds good. We'll film some footage in here and give you guys some shout outs on the IG.
Yeah.
And maybe
Sweet.
even TikTok too. Who knows?
Ooh,
We'll
TikTok.
get crazy.
Nice. Love it.
All right. Well, thank you for having us. And on that note, Brandon, I think Hayden, it's time for him to meet Grandma.
It's about that time.
Yeah, I think so. So he's probably like, what in the hell are you talking about? So usually we leave Grandma in the car. We give her some water. We roll down the windows. We make sure she's okay. But in honor of Oktoberfest season, Grandma, take us home.
They also practice by drinking the urine of a ram.
The what?
They drink ram's piss.
Because of the pH balance?
No, because if you can drink ram's piss, fuck, you can drink almost anything.
She said fuck.
What is the malted liquor? What gets you drunk or quicker? What comes in bottles or in cans? Beer. Can't get enough of it. Beer. How we really love it. Beer. Makes me think I'm a man. Beer. I could kiss and hug it, but I'd rather chug it. Fill my belly out to here. Beer. I could not refuse it. I could really use a beer. Beer. I can't remember how much I have had. I drank a 12-pack with my dad.